It's a cold, misty night in New York, but you can't keep the diehards away. Met fans coming out.
Let's go Mets! Let's go Mets!
And they're in full throat, ready for tonight's game. It's T-Shirt Friday. And the David Wright T-shirts and the programs doing a brisk business. At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the Cincinnati Reds. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. I'm Gary Cohen. Ron Darling and Keith Hernandez join me in just a moment as the Mets open a three-game series against the Cincinnati Reds, who have a new manager, Brian Price, despite the fact that they were the beneficiaries of the second wild card last year, although their postseason run lasted just one game as they lost to the Pirates in the wild card game. The Reds come in having lost 2 out of 3 to the Cardinals. The Mets come in having lost their first 3 to the Nationals, and Terry Collins has made a decision for the moment about the first base job. After playing 3 different first basemen in the first 3 games, he settled for the moment on Lucas Duda.
Well, I was home watching the game and the post-game interview with Terry Collins, and I thought for sure that it was going to be Ike Davis. So I was surprised. And why did I think it was going to be Ike? I felt a better glove defensively that the Mets would go with defense. But I do agree with them going with one guy. This 3 guys at first base wasn't going to work. And Ike's the kind of guy with all the movement, Gary, that he has in his swing, that it's going to be a very difficult role for him to sit on the bench and spot play. We'll see how it evolves, but right now they're going to run it. They're going to give the football, so to speak, to Lucas Duda.
Meanwhile, one of the themes of spring training was who was going to win the 5th starter's job. Dice came out to Zaka or Henry Mejia. The Mets settled on the younger player, Henry Mejia, off what he did last September, and he gets the ball tonight.
You know, you got to be really happy for Henry when you think about it. 4 seasons ago, he made the team as a 20-year-old. They didn't even know what to do with him once he was on the ball club. After that, it's been a long, strange trip. Lots of injuries, lots of battling back, lots of trying to get himself back in the eyes of the organization as a guy that could count on. He's added a couple pitches, and he is as good as ever.
Coming off bone chip surgery, pitching in cold weather tonight, we'll see how Mejia fares as the Mets and Captain Wright welcome in the Reds. Mets and Reds, all the action coming your way tonight on SNY. SNY is brought to you by Geico. By Cholula Hot Sauce, the hot sauce with the iconic wooden cap, available in original flavor, chili lime, chili garlic, and chipotle. And by Lexus, introducing a car designed with one purpose, to stand apart. The 2014 Lexus IS. It's your move. Get your buy one, get one free Mets ticket for the weekend series against the Reds, courtesy of SNY. Simply follow the Mets on Twitter at Mets and SNY at SNYTV to find out how you can take advantage of this ticket offer. Drive around the majors presented by Cadillac. 4 hits today for Miguel Cabrera, gets him to 2,000 for his career. Tigers go to 3-0 as they beat the Orioles today 10-4. The Braves beat the Nats 2-1. Ian Desmond's inside the park home run overturned and turned into a double, and the Braves beat the Nats. Chase Utley and John Mayberry homered. Phillies beat the Cubs 7-2, dropping Chicago to 1-3 on the season. Light rain falling, gusty wind, 43 degrees. Henry Mejia will try to ignore it all as he makes his first start of the year. First pitch coming up from Citi Field.
at least for a week. We'll see how he does at first base. Murph, Tejada right, and there's your battery right there.
Well, it was an endorsement of Lucas Duda that he has now been, for the moment, anointed as the regular first baseman. But you'd have to say not a ringing endorsement, because what Terry Collins said was that Duda's going to play, but Ike Davis is going to play one of the 3 games this weekend. He also said Ike Davis could be my starting first baseman next week. So it would appear as though it's Duda's job for the moment, but that the leash is fairly short.
And that Josh Satton's going to get some at bat against left-handed starters. So
yes.
you never know. But Lucas has got it. Go 4 for 4 and stay there.
Well, get down a little lower. I'm going to call that low strike.
John Tumpane behind the plate, just getting a look at Henry Mejia's stuff. Remember, Henry doesn't have that many games in the big leagues. A lot of these umpires might not have been out behind the plate at any of his starts.
And Tumpane has not seen that many big league starters on his own. John Hirschbeck is the crew chief. He's at first base. Bob Davidson at second, and James Hoy is the umpire at third. Little light drizzle falling, gusty breeze blowing, cold night.
Yep.
And all credit to the fans who have made their way to the ballpark tonight to watch the Mets try to get off the schneid and get their first victory of the season.
A perfect night for T-shirt night, too.
Well, you take
Blustery
the T-shirt,
evening?
take the T-shirt, you put it on over.
Oh, layers.
Everything else.
I gotcha.
Because you want layers. You might want to get the XXL to have it fit over your parka.
I got my hot chocolate.
It's a major plus.
Oh, thank you, Gracie. I know you're listening back there.
Roger Bernardino will lead things off for the Reds. His first start of the season. Bernardino, who was with the Nats and the Phillies last year and hit 181, getting the call with Billy Hamilton getting a night off after Hamilton began the year 0 for 12. And Mejia's first pitch, a fastball outside, and we're underway. Bernardino, then Brandon Phillips and Joey Votto for the Reds, who won 90 games last year under Dusty Baker, won the second wild card, lost the wild card playoff game in Pittsburgh, and Baker was promptly let go. In for a strike, 1-1 to Bernardino.
I was pretty shocked by that, weren't you?
Well, there were some people in the organization who had differing views about Dusty.
Oh, that happens in every organization, but twice in a row to the playoffs. But they were disappointed twice in a row.
Old foul by Bernardino, 1-2.
Remember the one against San Francisco? They won the first 2 in San Francisco.
Yep.
5-game series, came to their home ballpark, Great American Park, and dropped all 3.
But the central figure in both those playoff ousters was Johnny Cueto. Remember game 1 against the Giants?
That's right.
He lasted, 7 pitches before he got hurt, and then last year, the wild card game, he got beat up on the Pirates.
Wicked.
Breaking ball in for a call, third strike. Bernardino caught looking for the first out of the night.
Take a look at this slider, RJ.
You know what's a nice sign is that in this cold, wet, damp weather, a lot of break on that pitch by Henry.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Brandon Phillips. Phillips drove in 103 runs last year, but was criticized for his low on base percentage, and this year has decided he is not talking to the Cincinnati media.
Well, he had a run-in with a writer last season, and you know, I think in Brandon's defense, he was telling people, I mean, I'm a second baseman, I drove in 103. I mean, come on, what do you want? Make every single play on defense.
Won his 4th Gold Glove last year at second base. He fouls back the slider, 1-0-2.
I can count on one hand the guys that when you watch the game, you can't wait to watch him play defense. He's on that list.
Well, there's Joey Votto, one of the premier hitters in the National League in baseball. Got criticized last year a bit from taking too many walks.
It's funny, isn't it? Phillips fights that off. Phillips gets criticized for not drawing enough walks, and Votto gets criticized for drawing too many walks.
Well, that's what happens when you're a team that people think should be a team that goes deep into the playoffs, and you do not.
Well, the thing about it is the Reds were 3rd in the National League in runs scored, so it wasn't like their offense struggled. And Phillips and Votto both a big part of that. Now he has come out throwing strikes. 0-2 to Phillips, and he just gets a piece of that one on a half swing. See, 2 years ago they won 97 games and were beaten in the division series. Last year 90 wins and ousted in the wild card game. But that was enough to cost Dusty Baker his job, and the job goes to the pitching coach, Brian Price. That's something that doesn't happen all that often.
Interesting. There's no on-deck circles down there. Look at Votto. He's like lost.
You know,
where are the on-deck circles?
Well, I'm wondering if they stop putting them out, because you know how those on-deck circles get very slippery in this kind of weather where it's constant rain. Maybe they decided not to put them out there.
Well, we've seen that before with catchers losing their footing.
Got to have them out there. I don't want to be in the dirt. I don't want to be on the grass. The grass is going to be wet. The dirt's going to be muddy. Come on.
Dulles pulls one just foul. Here's Brian Price.
61st manager in Reds history. 51st since 1900. Wow. When I think of a Reds manager, the one that always comes to mind besides Sparky, of course, more contemporary, is Fred Hutchinson. When we were kids growing up, RJ.
Maybe when you were a kid.
Well, that's true. I got to
in the early 60s. Fly ball left field, chasing Eric Young back onto the warning track, right at the wall, and he makes the catch right at the top of the fence. Might have taken a run away from Brandon Phillips, and that's the second out. Nicely done by Eric Young.
Well, Eric was up for the Gold Glove last year. He was one of the contenders for the Gold Glove spot in left field, and here is a terrific catch. He did rob him of a home run.
Just a little stumble there, but was able to right himself. And in this rainy weather, that is so difficult.
And kudos to EY, because the one crimp in his game last year, as Joey Votto takes outside, is his ability to go back on balls. And he went back on that very nicely.
Votto, a very disciplined hitter.
135 walks last year, 435 on base percentage. He's led the National League on base percentage 4 consecutive years. Votto now 30 years old, and the good curveball by Mejia, and he gets ahead 1-2.
Gary, that is 2 breaking balls he's thrown to left-hand hitters that are spot on. That is wicked.
This is what we saw last September, the ability to throw that breaking ball for strikes.
And look at Votto, a little more crouched. Got to be a little more set.
And did he get a piece? He just did. And Darno did not handle it cleanly, so Votto stays alive.
How often do you see Votto take a swing like this with 2 strikes? That's how exceptional the slider is. Look at this defensive tied-up swing. You never see that from Votto.
It's a train changing tracks. 1-2, fastball up and away.
You know what that does to you for a hitter when that gets in? You face 2 sharp breaking balls like that. It makes you so vulnerable because you got to wait longer, and it does get your attention. You're more vulnerable inside with a fastball to really jam you up.
And the changeup just missed, and a full count to Votto.
I just really think that Henry has a chance to. He stays healthy and he throws like this. He's got a chance to be a star.
Three-two, and Votto down swinging, side retired. Mejia with a couple of strikeouts sandwiched around a terrific defensive play by Eric Young, who robbed Brandon Phillips of a home run. Good start for Mejia. Young and the Mets. They'll come to bat in the bottom of the first. No score. For his first hit of the season, so is Duda, so is Darno. Curtis Granderson had a couple of doubles yesterday. Lagares and Wright off to good starts. Mets have specialized in the first inning so far, and they'll try and get off to a good start against Mike Leake.
One of the few pitchers to come straight from college to the major leagues. He had his career year last year with 14 wins. He's 42-29 in his young career.
Does not walk people.
Only 26 years old, and also maybe the best hitting pitcher in the major leagues. Eric Young leads off after making that terrific catch to help out Henry Mejia in the top of the inning. EY 0 for 9 with 5 strikeouts to begin the year. And he fouls one off. And Leake quickly ahead 0-2.
Leake had an abdominal in spring early. Got a little late start. 42-29 in his 109 starts in the major leagues over 4 seasons.
First round pick by the Reds in 2009. The number 8 overall pick. 2 selections after the Giants took Zach Wheeler.
Well, the thing about Leake is that he won 40 games as a collegiate, which is unheard of. But he doesn't have that 95-plus stuff. What he has is a big heart. Guy's really highly uber competitive.
And got that ball in on the hands of Young. Phillips makes the easy play. 1 away.
And we'll slip in the defense here for the Cincinnati Redlegs. When I was a kid, they were the Redlegs. Ludwig, Bernardina, and Bruce in the outfield. Bruce had a terrific year last year. Big power hitter. Votto, the all-star at first. Brandon Phillips at second. The Gold Glover, an all-star. There's the battery.
Ramon Santiago playing shortstop. Zach Cozart getting a day off. He's off to a slow start. Here's Daniel Murphy, who went 1 for 3 in his first game of the season yesterday. And he takes an off-speed pitch for a strike.
You really appreciate a guy like Leake if you're playing behind him. He works extremely quickly.
Mike Leake was a collegiate teammate of Ike Davis's at Arizona State, and you were talking about collegiate pitcher with the overpowering stuff. Ike was the harder thrower of the two.
I looked at Ike's numbers because he pitched a little in college, and I mean, that's pretty cool. Power hitting first baseman and a pitcher also.
Ike would be a 92 guy out of the bullpen for Arizona State.
Leake in 2009 as a Sun Devil was 16-1 with a 1.71 earned run average.
1-2 to Murph. And it misses inside.
He pitches inside, Ron. He knows what he has to do. He can't live on that sinker on the outside corner. He's a slight guy, 5'10", 190 pounds.
Built a little like Chris Medlin of the Braves.
But that's the beauty of baseball. You don't have to beat his beefcake to succeed in this game.
But you know, when you're that size, you have to win 40 games in college because you just don't get drafted if you're a right-hander, 5'10", 100. He says 175 pounds, but they have him lifted as 190.
You're basically proving yourself at every level. And Murph goes from 0-2 to 3-2. Leake last year 2.2 walks per 9 innings. Also doesn't strike out many, just 5.7 strikeouts per 9 innings. 3-2 to Murphy, and he pokes one the other way, a base hit.
Well, that's just good hitting for Murph.
Daniel Murphy with a 1-out single, and the Mets have the first base runner of this game.
That's not anything you can do other with this pitch. It's a ball running away. I'm sure Leake wanted it down at the knees. It was belt high, so his sinker flattens out. But it's on the outside corner, and there's not much Murph can do but just go that way.
In fact, in some ways, Murph wants that pitch. Loves that pitch on 2 strikes.
Murphy hit in the last 11 games he played in last year. Now he's hitting his first 2 this year. Mets have scored in the first inning each of their first 3 games. In fact, they've only scored 10 runs. 6 of them have come in the first inning. And David Wright gets a first pitch fastball and fouls it off.
David's been attacking first pitch a lot so far. We were early in the season here. We're barely along. We've got a long way to go, folks, as you know.
See what the Mets have done in the first inning. Hitting 500 in the first inning and not so fine after. 123. Small sample size. David fights one off the fists, and it's 0-2. Right, 4 for 11, a homer, 3 RBIs in the series with the Nationals, who lost for the first time today, beaten in Atlanta's home opener 2-1. Curtis Granderson on deck. Murphy at first and 1 out. And right, it's a slow tapper. Frazier on the charge. He'll have to go to first with it. Gets the out on right as Murphy moves up.
Just want to wonder if Frazier had a shot to get Murph at second to get the lead runner. As an infielder, all you kids, you always want to try to get the lead runner. Keep that guy out of scoring position.
Do you think on a wet track he's being very conservative?
Maybe. Big strong kid, Frazier.
Jersey kid, Jersey strong.
And a big pull on the infield here with Granderson. As you can see,
Curtis pulled a couple of doubles to right field yesterday. Murphy at second and 2 out.
Santiago on the second base, right field side of second base.
This is one of those shifts, though, has probably as much to do with the hitter as it does with the pitcher. Leake does not throw that hard. There's a lot of changeups and breaking balls. More apt to pull that if you're Curtis.
And also a guy who will throw inside against the left-hand hitters. Back-to-back changeups, gets a strike with that one, 1-1.
Ludwig always plays a deep left. He doesn't run real well. He's better coming in and going back. He's really the weak link out there defensively for the Reds in the outfield.
Jay Bruce has a terrific arm in right field. That could come into play on a base hit. Another changeup, 2-1. All these Mets have faced Leake before. Granderson 1 for 3 against them. Mets faced Leake twice last year. He threw 7 scoreless against them here back in May, and then the Mets beat him up, knocked him out in the second inning in September in Cincinnati. And that fastball misses. Now it's 3-1 to Granderson, and he's been awfully careful with Curtis with Duda on deck.
Open base. It's the guy that hit 40 home runs 2 years in a row. Granderson.
Be surprised by a 3-1 changeup at all.
I wouldn't be surprised with ball 4.
So we're all unsurprised, and the Mets have 2 men on.
Ball 4 and a changeup.
So a kind of a pitch around in the opening inning, a little surprising for Mike Leake.
Except that this is one of the things he does. He knows that if he doesn't get the count in his way, then he's got to pitch backwards, throw changeups 2-1, 3-1, and he is not afraid of, okay, let me start the count again new with a new hitter.
So Lucas Duda, who was anointed as the first baseman of the moment today, gets an RBI chance in the first inning. 2 out and 2 on. Lucas 0 for 6 to start the year, and he takes a first pitch changeup at his feet, and Leake having trouble controlling that pitch right now.
Well, Leake, his zone, his comfort is that sinker to the outside corner to the right left-hand hitters. He knows he has to pitch inside, and he knows he can't make a mistake in there if he doesn't throw hard. So that he really has to be precise when he comes in. He's got a lot of movement when he throws in.
So Duda 4 for 6 in his career against Leake. And Lucas fouls off the changeup, 1-1.
That's why we were so surprised that Henry Mejia was controlling his breaking ball in this wet weather so easily. Not the same for Leake so far with that changeup.
Is it different throwing a hard breaking ball like that as opposed to a changeup?
I always thought the hard breaking ball was tougher than the changeup because you have all your fingers on the ball. You would think that would be easier to control. Not so far for Leake.
He's struggling right now. He started off quick. You throw all these left-hand hitters against him, he's having difficulty.
Well, the Mets yesterday faced Tanner Roark, who had a very rough first inning and then settled in. It's kind of been the pattern for the Mets. Trying to cash one in the first inning today. And it's inside, 3-1 to Duda with Juan Lagares waiting on deck. So 5 hitters for Leake, already 3 3-ball counts. With 3-2 on Murphy, gave up the base hit. He walked Granderson, and now he's 3-1 on Duda. Two on and 2 out, and Duda takes low and inside, ball 4. Another 3-1 changeup, and the bases are loaded.
Picking your poison here.
So back-to-back walks issued by Leake, who's been forced to throw a lot of pitches in this first inning. And he'll now face the Mets' hottest hitter early in the year, in Juan Lagares.
Well, I was surprised that their pitching coach, new pitching coach, Jeff Pico, didn't come out. The one problem that Leake is having, if you've been watching, is that his arm angle has changed. His fastball, he's a little 3/4, but his changeup, he's kind of over the top. And those different arm angles have resulted in him not being able to throw the ball over the plate.
Murphy, Granderson, and Duda aboard with 2 down. Lagares 5 for 11, 4 extra base hits in the first 3 games. And he takes up and in for ball 1. Never pitched in this weather at Arizona State.
That's right. 75 and sunny.
Every day. Except when it's 110. Lagares hits it in the air pretty well to right field, chasing Bruce back toward the corner, and he makes the catch. Lagares giving it a ride to the opposite field, but Bruce squeezes it, and the Mets strand 3 in the opening inning. On to the second we go with no score. Are looking for outstanding teachers in your community. 30 teachers will be celebrated at the 2014 All-Star Game. Log on to allstarteachers.com to nominate your favorite teacher today. It is a cold, windy, raw, wet night.
You are a fan if you're at this Wago.
Big fan.
Personally, myself, I sit home in the comfort of the couch with a nice fire, maybe a little hot chocolate.
That fire, I hope, would be in the fireplace, right? Jay Bruce coming off his 3rd straight 30 home run season. Just 27 years old, but already in his 7th big league year. And Mejia with the off-speed pitch gets ahead 0-2. Bruce 2 for 11 to start the year. Hit a home run yesterday.
Big power guy. He strikes out a lot also.
Let's have the overshift on against him, and Mejia picks off the outside corner. 4 batters, 3 strikeouts for Henry Mejia.
Well, Ede looks so confident, Ron, doesn't he?
Yeah, this is that little backdoor cutter. Starts right on the corner and just bends right over that outside. You give up on it sometimes if you're the left-handed hitter.
It was that natural cutter that Mejia threw when he first came up as a 20-year-old, then lost amidst all the shoulder and elbow issues he had, but it was back last year, and it is a big weapon for him. Here's Ryan Ludwig, who had a lost season last year. He's already made it deeper into this season than he did last year. He got hurt opening day.
Yeah, that's right.
Sliding to third base, separated his shoulder, missed 3.5 months, and wound up playing only 38 games last year.
He bounced around after the Cardinals traded him, didn't he? Go to the Pirates? Am I wrong?
He was with Oakland.
Oh, yeah.
Before the Cardinals. 35 years old. His brother used to be in the Mets farm system. Eric Ludwig, the pitcher.
He wasn't in San Diego for a little bit?
Yeah. I think you're right.
You're right. There it is. And Pirates, I was right. Found a home here. Third season with Cincinnati, and I tell you what, Mejia's thrown some wicked breakers.
Jams him. 1-2. These Reds have not really seen Mejia before. He's had 2 innings of relief against them in his career, just a scattering of at bats here and there. So for most of them, it's their first time around seeing him. 1-2 to Ludwig. He struck him out. 3 strikeouts in a row for the first 5 for Mejia, who is really dealing on a tough night to hit.
Baseball players call this peas at the knees. I mean, you can't hit that ball right on the knees to Ludwig and on that outside corner. You know, when you watch Henry Mejia, the Reds pitcher Johnny Cueto, they have kind of, you know, not the same motion, but they have kind of the same stuff, that 92 to 95 and good movement.
Johnny used to have that hair too.
Yeah, that's right.
But then Cueto incorporated the Louis Tiant twist in the delivery, which
put him on the DL.
Yeah, which hasn't necessarily helped him.
Let's can that.
Todd Frazier from Toms River, New Jersey, off to a good start. 5 for 11, couple of home runs in yesterday's game against the Cardinals.
Hit a 3-run bomb early in that game off of Lance Lynn.
And he loops one over short. That's a base hit in left center. The first base runner of the game against Mejia. Lagares gets it in quickly and holds Frazier to a 2-out single.
Well, that was a change up there to the right-handed hitter. See how he turns that over. It's supposed to be inside, right down the middle.
You see how he drove right at the pitcher, though, and the ball wasn't away enough. Able to get enough of the barrel on the ball.
Now Brian Pena, the switch hitting catcher. Ronnie, remember yesterday we were talking about how Washington had 2 switch hitting catchers, and you never see that?
It never happens.
Except the Reds have 2 switch hitting catchers also. Their backup right now is a youngster named Tucker Barnhart, who's also a switch hitter, because the starter Devin Mesoraco is out on rehab. Should be back next week. Mesoraco suffered an oblique injury in spring.
Evan Gattis is not hitting lefty this year, is he?
Well, not that I know.
Okay.
He hit a bomb today. Pena was with the Tigers last year, hit .297. Actually played a ton for the Tigers last year because Alex Avila was hurt for a good part of the year. Of course, the Reds used to have Ryan Hannigan, who split time with Mesoraco, but Hannigan has moved on. Hannigan's in Tampa Bay now.
Tampa Bay.
1-0 for Mejia. Pitch misses low and away. 2-0.
Henry very, very precise early in this game with his breaking stuff. He's got a beautiful little backdoor slider for the left-hand hitter, and to go with that down and in, he has really had great command with his breaking stuff.
Well, through all the trials and tribulations that Henry has been through, he's been insistent all along that he wanted to be a starting pitcher, and the Mets have at times moved his role back and forth, but they finally took him at his word and said he will not be a relief pitcher. He'll either start in the big leagues or start in the minors, and whether it was for roster consideration or whatever it was for, he won that job in spring training, despite the fact that Daisuke Matsuzaka pitched awfully well.
I thought they both pitched great, and you know what? You go with the youth, and I was very pleased with the decision made by the front office.
Just off the plate, 3-1. And think about this. I mean, Mejia's first big league experience was 4 years ago. He's been around a long time. He's been through injury problems up and down. He's younger than Matt Harvey.
Yeah, right.
He's 6 months older than Zach Wheeler. So he is very much a piece of the Mets' young pitching coterie. 3-1, and Pena fouls it off. Full count.
My first full year in the big leagues, I was 23 years old. This is the time to fly.
He was in the big leagues as a 20-year-old. Since 1967, only 2 pitchers have been in the big leagues for the Mets before their 21st birthday. Mejia, not good. Frazier gets set to run. 3-2 to Brian Pena. And he walked him. And so the Reds have 2 men on.
As a pitcher, well, I thought it was the 8th hitter, so I'll shut up.
That was like a self-mute.
Well, I just said I was going to say if it was an 8th hitter, you get mad at yourself for getting the pitcher up. But
you know what it is that first inning in your first start of the year, you're so pumped up that second inning is always, you lose some of that adrenaline.
That's interesting.
Here's the former Tiger, Ramon Santiago. 2 on and 2 out. Santiago's first at bat of the year, giving Zach Cozart a day off after Cozart went 0 for 11 in the Reds opening series.
Yeah, they had 2 guys. Billy Hamilton 0 for 12 with 6 strikeouts. Oh, threw it by him.
Tells you as a pitcher, Santiago likes the ball down. He's got a hole upstairs.
Doesn't take his bat back very far. He's got a slider swing, the slider bat speed. Pound him.
Mejia had 0-2, and the curveball sits high. 1-2. He has struck out the first 2 batters here in the second. Give up a single to Frazier. Walk Pena. The pitcher Leak, who is no easy mark, waiting on deck. One-two to Santiago. And he got a piece of it.
Well, he's got a good tight down slider. I'll tell you what, with that stuff he's got in his hair, he can load up.
Don't get people thinking.
Saying his hair was wet before he went to the
I don't think it's wet. If it's some kind of
product,
yes. Become a Gaylord Perry.
put this inning to bed, and Santiago calls for time. Mejia in his last tune-up start in Montreal last weekend took a shot off the right forearm, came out of that game, but was checked out. He was okay. He's battled a bunion issue in spring training as well, but nothing is going to deter him at this point. Here's the 1-2. Strike three call. Santiago caught looking. Mejia strikes out 3 in the inning, 5 in the first 2 innings. And the Reds strand a pair. Andrew Mejia looking impressive early. No score at Citi Field. Get out to Citi Field for tons of family fun in 2014 with the Mets Family Pack. Buy a ticket for the game and get a hot dog, french fries, and soft drinks starting at just $24 each, which equals big savings. Get to Mets.com/family packs for tickets. Home second inning, no score. Travis d'Arnaud leads off against Mike Leake. And Travis takes a curveball outside for ball one. d'Arnaud looking for his first hit of the season. 0 for 9 with 5 strikeouts. 39 strikeouts through the first 3 games for the Mets hitters. Not a record. Little tapper right back to Leake, who fields his position well. 1 out. Last year the Astros had 43 strikeouts through their first 3 games, and that is the record.
Wow.
That's a record through the first 2 games, but showed improvement yesterday with only 8 strikeouts. Here's Ruben Tejada. Ruben 3 for 10 to start the year. The Giants spoiled the Dodgers home opener today. Dodgers played in every area code and country code but their own before today. But the Giants scored 8 in the first 2 innings against Hyun-Jin Ryu, who's now made what, 3 starts in their first 6 games? Maybe a little overworked.
Angel Pagan had a big game in last night's ball game.
Michael Morse hit a couple of RBIs today. That's a nice pickup for the Giants. They won 8-4. Giants are now 4-1, so they're in first place for the moment in the NL West. Tejada out toward right center. Bernardino ranging over. 2 out.
Did you see the numbers that Mr. Goldschmidt has against Lincecum? 12 for 23 with 6 home runs.
6 home
Oh, he owns them.
yesterday.
That's where you start sending the car for the guy. Make sure he gets the
Dilemma?
ballpark.
Oh.
Timmy said next time I'm going to throw underhand. By the way, Goldschmidt, dating back to last year, I didn't see if he had a hit today, but he had a 25-game hitting streak. They lost today. They got rocked by the Rockies 12-2. Henry Mejia 1 for 17 in his big league career. League falls behind him 2-0. Goldschmidt did have a hit. He was 1 for 3, so now it's a 26-game hitting streak. And it's 3-0 to Mejia.
Well, Leake lives on the corners, and he's not getting anything close so far by the home plate umpire, John Tompane.
It's got to be a learning curve when you're a pitcher, when you have a new home plate umpire, and there are so many new or new-ish umpires in the majors this year. Phillips handles the ground ball. Mejia doesn't bother to run it out, and that's a 1-2-3 inning for Mike Leake. 2 innings in the books. No score at Citi Field. State Audi dealers and the all-new Audi A3. Well, Henry Mejia on a cold night felt some bees.
Well, Ronnie, I got to ask you a question. On a night like this, nobody on base, would you not swing the bat?
Mike Leake, I'm swinging the bat because he doesn't throw overly hard. But if I were facing Randy Johnson or someone that brought it up there, I would take until they got to 2 strikes. Absolutely. You don't want that feeling.
Let me ask you this. If you're a pitcher and you have that happen to you, does it have any impact on your pitching?
It doesn't. With the 2.5 minutes or so we have in between the warm-ups, by that time you've pretty much. Only time is if you jam your thumb, which happens occasionally. That can linger.
Mike Leake loves to swing the bat. He takes a strike. Since Mike Leake came to the big leagues in 2010, he has more hits than any pitcher in the majors in that span. 57 hits. A lifetime 251 hitter.
He's got 3 3-hit games and 11 multi-hit games. He knows what he's doing. I think he hit a little bit in Arizona State too, didn't he?
Yeah. Also means he's not getting knocked out early. He took multiple at bats.
That's right.
Got the pants jacked up.
Last year, Leake had a rough year. He hit just 190. The best hitting pitcher in the majors last year by far was Zach Greinke, who hit 328.
To me, Gallardo's the best hitting pitcher because he can do damage. But you're right. Greinke is an awfully good athlete.
David Wright gets in front of the ground ball and has to be scooped by Duda. Away.
Nicely done by Lucas. That was not an easy pick. That was not a short hop, kind of the in-between hop. Nicely done.
Let me ask you a question, okay? That's as simple a routine play as you're going to get, right? Pitcher's running. Do you always anticipate a bad throw? Is that how you work from anticipate a bad throw, and if it's a good one, it's easy?
Well, I never assume.
Never assume. Okay.
Yeah, I'm always ready.
Okay.
And you got plenty of time to read every throw.
You know what I'm saying? Because you could relax a little. You know, it's a routine play, and then next thing you know.
Murph backing up. Nice hustle by Murph. And see Lucas working from the ground up. Very nicely done.
And able to blow the bubble and make the pick at the same time.
I couldn't.
Always impressive.
I could never do that. I couldn't multitask at first base.
You certainly multitask up here. I'll tell you that. You weren't a gum chewer anyway.
I wasn't a gum chewer, no.
Roger Bernardino struck out looking his first time up. He has struck out 5 in the first 2 innings. And the curveball bends around the plate. 3-0. Brandon Phillips waits on deck. No score. We're in the 3rd. And it's a 4-pitch walk to Bernardino. Second walk given up by Mejia.
A night like this, you've got to be careful of hit and run. Phillips goes the other way nicely, and
watch the hot dog.
Look at this. Let me just brush my tails here.
He is fun to watch, isn't he?
Okay.
That was with Mejia not really running out of the box after his hands got buzzed. So we had plenty of time to do that.
I'm sorry. I can take the hot dog if you can back it up, and he can back it up.
Well, Phillips hit one over the left field wall his first time up, but Eric Young brought it back.
Got to keep an eye on Bernardino. He can steal a base. And Phillips is a guy that goes naturally to right field. Can hit and run.
Bernardino's fast, but he's never been as good a base stealer as he should be, given his speed. Mejia kicks it. Darno chases it, and he has enough time to throw out Brandon Phillips for the second out. A 1-2-3 put out, and Mejia comes up hopping around, and Ray Ramirez and Dan Worthen and Terry Collins will all come out to make sure he's okay.
Well, if it got him on the ankle and any part of the bone, it's going to hurt.
Henry is kind of a whirling dervish on the mound. He doesn't get in any kind of position to field, so if the ball is back at him, he really has to take it off his body because he can never get to a point where he can put his glove in position to make a play.
Looks like he pointed to a spot on the outside of his right ankle just above the shoe top. And they'll have him throw a warm-up pitch to make sure he's okay.
Got him. Nice play by d'Arnaud here. Good reaction.
Yeah, right off the logo on his shoe. A running play by d'Arnaud made it like an infielder.
Very nice.
That'll help Henry's fielding percentage.
Is that a 1, 2, 3?
That's exactly right. So, you know, it might hurt, but at least it gets in the book.
I don't think he wants to get in the book with that. Although that would have been a base hit.
That's exactly right. Bernardina at second with 2 out. Here's Joey Votto, who struck out his first time up. You know, we were talking in the first inning when Votto came up about the criticism that he's had for drawing too many walks, not driving in enough runs. He had 73 RBIs last year. But I think the more valid criticism is this. When he won the MVP in 2010, his slugging percentage was .600. Last year, his slugging percentage was .491. So it was a different kind of year for him in that regard. And those numbers, those slugging numbers, have come down the last several seasons for him as his on-base percentage has stayed high.
Remember, a couple of years ago, he had that knee issue that kept him out. Remember, he hurt it sliding and re-injured it when sliding practice.
And that really affected his power.
Yes, exactly.
But last year, I don't think that was really an issue. But he's become, I don't want to say a more passive hitter, but I think he's become a less powerful hitter in terms of the extra base hits he provides.
Well, talked to him about it. He said, listen, I have my strike zone.
Yep.
I know what the strike zone is, and I'm not going out of the strike zone to please anyone.
I think that he's a thinker up there, and I think he thinks too much. You know, all this stuff today that they're teaching, and it's taught down there and on that Met dugout, is looking for your little pitch to hit, but it's a tiny little box. Shoot, I always felt a right-hander pitching against me, I could cover the outside corner, cover the inside corner. I never looked into a little tiny box.
He behind him 3-1 with Jay Bruce on deck. And Votto takes a strike. Thought he had the walk. Has to come back.
Borderline needs there.
Well, home plate umpire John Tempane, anything close has gone for Henry Mejia and against Mike Leake so far.
You see d'Arnaud bring that glove up and get that strike. Very good at that. We've talked about it these first 4 games of the season. Very adept at that. Oh, it's a damp, raw night.
Struck him out on a changeup the first time. Now 3-2 on Votto again.
Got to step out, don't you?
Well, they went through all the pitches. He called changeup the first time through, fastball the second time through, to both sides of the plate. So maybe Henry wants to throw that sharp slider 3-2.
In Toronto, Masahiro Tanaka making his major league debut. Yankees gave him 2 runs in the first, and then Melky Cabrera took Tanaka deep in the bottom of the first.
Let off? I mean, that would be.
Melky might be leading off.
Right, because
Reyes
is out. That would be an auspicious beginning.
It was leading off. Yep.
Wow. Welcome
First
to the
batter.
big leagues.
Three and 2. And Votto fouls it away. So he did get the slider on 3-2.
And that was a pitch to hit right there. There's a lot of plate. Tried to backdoor him and got too much plate here. Not that bad.
I think back to the changeup here.
Missed with the fastball, and Votto's on with the walk. 2 walks in the inning, 3 on the night now for Mejia, and Jay Bruce will come up with 2 men on. Pitch count rising early for Henry. Bruce was caught looking his first time up. Bernardina at second, Votto at first with 2 down. And the Mets put on the shift against Bruce. And he hits it through the shift and into right center, and the Reds will take the early lead. Bernardina in to score. Votto goes first to third. Jay Bruce with an RBI single, and it's 1-0 Cincinnati.
Well, second time through the order, and if I faced Mejia with that breaking ball working, I'm looking first ball. That's a little cutter right there, Ronnie. Just stayed flat. Good hitting by Bruce.
Now, his pitches have been a little off here to Votto, and this one pretty fat to Bruce. And you know, when you get hit by a ball back up through the middle, it doesn't hurt right off the bat. It's because of the adrenaline. But after a while, it starts to smart a little bit. So he's going to have to concentrate trying to get that ball down.
So now Ryan Ludwig, who struck out his first time up. Votto now at third, Bruce at first with 2 down. David Wright to his left. Play will be the first, and the side retired. But Jay Bruce with a 2-out RBI hit after Mejia was struck on the foot on the Brandon Phillips comebacker, and the Reds lead 1-0. Lead. Well, April is a month for major league debuts, and while the globetrotting Kevin Burkhardt is away, Steve Gelbs will be filling in for him. And Steve, welcome to the ball club. And it's a perfect day for you to make your debut. Cold, windy, wet. You get the full treatment today.
I was going to say, Gary, a little bit of rookie hazing we got going on right now. But we just saw Jay Bruce at the top of the inning break open the scoring with an RBI single. And Jay Bruce is a guy that last season did something that only 2 other Reds had ever done. 30-plus home runs, 40-plus doubles, and 100-plus RBIs. The other 2, Dave Parker and Frank Robinson. Bruce is also a guy that the last 4 seasons is the only one in the NL with 25-plus home runs every season. And the last 3 seasons, the only guy in the NL averaging 100-plus RBI. But he seems to be a guy that not a lot of people talked about or are talking about. I talked to his manager, Brian Price, before the game, asked him why that was the case, and he said Jay Bruce is an anomaly. And what he meant by that is he is as team-oriented a guy as you're going to find. He called Jay Bruce a guy that understands his value to the ball club and doesn't chase after statistics. Instead, he tries to do what he can to get the team a victory. And because of that, the numbers do come. He said in this day and age, so many guys, and this is a quote from Price, said so many guys are flapping their wings, running around the bases saying, look at me, look at me, look at me. That's just not Jay Bruce. And I said, well, is that the reason why why he's so underrated. And Price says, I think it is, but he did correct me and said in the NL Central, Jay Bruce is not underrated. The rest of the league maybe, but soon enough that won't be the case.
It's fair to be a fair point. And I think when you play with a perennial MVP candidate in Joey Votto and a guy who draws as much attention as Brandon Phillips does, sometimes you can lay in the weeds.
And in some ways, you can thrive in that because you don't have to be the person. You can sit back and do your thing. He's only 27 years old. It feels like he's been around for 10 years. But I think the thing that separates him, plays both sides of the ball, hitting and defense. And the thing is, I think he's become a better hitter, Keith, over time. I think he's become more intelligent up there, and the numbers show it.
Well, he's got some holes in his swing, but he's so strong. You know, today's game's different. Everybody strikes out a little bit more. They're not so uptight about striking out, but his progress over the years that he's been in the big leagues has been astronomical. That's a superlative.
Eric Young rolls one down to Votto. And that's the first out. Well, I think also they probably pushed him a little quick. He was the golden boy of the organization, first round pick in the big leagues when he was 21. And it took a couple of years for him to get his feet underneath.
And the teams weren't great. So, you know, he was the one that was supposed to bring them to the promised land, baseball promised land. It didn't happen for a while. Surrounded by some real good players now, though.
One out and nobody on now. Daniel Murphy, who has the Mets' only hit, a single to left in the first. Mike Leake gave up a hit and 2 walks in the first inning. Survived a deep fly ball by Juan Lagares with the bases loaded. And now he's retired 5 in a row, working with a lead for the first time. And Murphy slaps one to short. Santiago on the backhand. 2 out.
You know those guys with the slick glove, don't they? They just make it look so easy. Backhanded play, not easy, and this Santiago was totally under control.
It's going to be weird when Santiago spent his entire career, other than a brief cup of coffee in Seattle, entire career in Detroit, and now all of a sudden a new league, new team.
Well, Jim Leland, who's the manager there, just loved Santiago, liked that he could play a lot of different positions. New manager, new team for Santiago.
So 2 out and nobody on for David Wright. David grounded out to third his first time up. He throws a breaking ball. David bends back 1-1. Curtis Granderson would be next. The new and improved Miami Marlins are at it again tonight. 5 runs in the first 3 innings against San Diego.
It's nice to see.
Miami scored 27 runs in their 4-game series against the Rockies. They won 3-1. Last year it took them 14 games to score their first 27 runs.
Well, McGee and Stanton in that series drove in 15. 8 for McGee and 7 for Stanton. He's back at it today.
Stanton with a home run in the first inning today. Sharply hit grounder, but right at Santiago. And it's another 1-2-3 inning for Mike Leake, who's now set down 7 in a row. On to the 4th we go at Citi Field. 1-0 Cincinnati. ones, and Rafael Montero got the ball, and he was tremendous. 6 scoreless innings, no walks, 5 strikeouts.
If I ever come back, I want to throw like Montero. It just seems like it's so free and easy for him to throw the ball hard, throw the ball for strikes. You see him patting Kirk Neuenhuis, who had 4 hits, I believe, in that game last night.
Zach Lutz at a grand slam. Vegas won their opener 9-2 over Fresno. But Montero, the story, he's a guy who could be fast track for the big leagues. And the question is, as the Mets try and maybe groom some of their wealth of talent to work out of the bullpen, could Montero make his debut pitching in relief?
Well, I think that from Montero's point of view, you take it any way you can get it to get up to the big leagues. He keeps pitching like that, they're going to find a spot for him.
Well, I think the interesting thing is the mindset has changed. It used to be if you were in the minor leagues seasons ago, you would make your starts, and if the big club needed a reliever, you just come up and dump you in the bullpen and be ready, kid. We'll try to start an inning with you, but can't promise you. Nowadays, and I think the Mets are doing this, other organizations have done it, St. Louis does it, is that you start to have maybe 2-3 starts and then go in the bullpen for 1 start to limit your innings and maybe have innings you can pitch for the big league club later, and to get used to being in the bullpen.
And to find out whether a guy has the ability to, to pitch in relief, maybe pitch back-to-back days. You don't know until a guy does it whether he can even handle that. Here's Todd Frazier leading off in the 4th. First pitch swinging and fouls it off. Frazier had the first hit against Mejia, a single to left center in the 2nd. Now 6 for 12 to start the season. Brian Pena on deck, then Ramon Santiago. 6, 7, and 8 for the Reds. We got a 2-out RBI hit from Jay Bruce in the 3rd to plate the game's only run. Popped it up. Anderson in, Murphy out to call, and Murphy's got it. 1 away. Well, we did not see Mejia getting any treatment on his foot in between innings, but you have to assume if he's back out there that he's feeling okay.
It's cold, and that does help, and I'm sure if there's going to be any swelling, he's going to feel it after the game. Your adrenaline's pumping.
Yeah. But successive kind of innings, the hand and then the foot.
But that's that's how it's gone for Mejia his entire career. We talked about the bunion in spring training and the line drive off his forearm, and the surgery for bone chips in his elbow in the offseason.
It's the things you don't want to have happen when it's a cold night.
Well, I know Henry, the bunting and the athletic part of being a National League pitcher has not come to him easy, but he worked. Every time I saw him in spring training, he was taking comebackers or working in the cage, so working very hard on that part of his game.
That's the first good slider who's thrown in a bit. Last inning he kind of lost it a little bit. Tried to throw that little cutter to Jay Bruce. That was the pitch he wanted to throw to Bruce with the men on base.
2-1 to Brian Pena. He falls behind 3-1.
To me, this feels like one of those nights where, as a pitcher, you don't really want to walk anybody. I mean, the ball, to me, doesn't feel like it's going to go anywhere in a night like tonight.
Pena not a big home run hitter anyway. Chops one foul.
Can we see that shot of those fans right there again? All in those raincoats. Dan Barr, that's how it feels at the plate in a night like this.
Like that, yes.
Like you have a poncho on?
Like it's advantage pitcher.
Yeah, absolutely.
Blowing rain. 41 degrees right now. And Pena holds the swing, and he stopped it in time. James Hoy with the call. And it's a 1-out walk. The 4th walk given up by Mejia. Sunday at 4:30, go behind the scenes at opening day and see what it's like from a player's perspective. Plus ride shotgun with Zach Wheeler as he heads to the stadium on Mets Insider, presented by WB Mason, Sunday at 4:30, only on SNY. So 1 out and 1 on for Ramon Santiago, who went down looking his first time up. Down to Duda. Gets the out at second. The return to Mejia, not in time. 3-6 fielder's choice erases Pena, but Santiago reaches to keep the inning going.
Well, nice play by Duda here. No wasted motion. Quickly to Tejada. Ruben just didn't get anything on the throw. There's got to be a sense of urgency here, and I honestly feel you've got to turn 2. You have to turn 2.
When looking at that play and replay, they both could have put something a little extra on that throw. You know,
you get the pitcher leading off next inning.
So it wasn't the technique; it was more the urgency.
Put some mustard on it.
You've got. Anytime I felt a ground ball to me hit like that, a routine ground ball, not a soft one, hard or medium, and I'm holding a runner on, I'm in. That's a double play. Unless you got Vince Coleman or Billy Hamilton. Now Ronnie's got a point here. Lucas, no wasted motion, but just kind of got it there. And just, you got to turn that. You just got to turn it.
0-2 to Leake with 2 out and a runner at first. And he goes down on 3 pitches. 92 from Mejia to strike out Leake. 6 strikeouts from Mejia. And the Reds are through in the top of the 4th. They lead 1-0. When was the last time that the Reds won a postseason series?
Whoa. Ooh. I have the answer, but I won't.
You're not divulging?
Well, my producer told me many moons ago.
Curtis Granderson takes a curveball low for ball 1. Well, we know they lost a postseason series. Does one game count as a series?
Yes. Well, it's
postseason.
But it's a postseason game.
Yeah.
But can one game be a series? It's kind of an oxymoron.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Jumbo shrimp. Got it.
Guys, stop doing all this again. Let's get back to the game.
1-2 to Granderson and walked his first time up.
You're on point this year.
And we know they lost their playoff series 2 years ago. We've already talked about it.
It goes back farther than you think.
They got beat by the Phillies the year Halladay threw the no-hitter against them. In the postseason.
Was that 09?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. We know. Okay, let's go back to when they won one. 1990, they won one.
Granderson with the shift on, dribbles one over the third base bag, and he'll get 2 bases out of this. Third double in the last 2 days for Curtis Granderson, and the Mets have their second hit of the night.
course, breaking ball stayed right in. Good hitting. And you can see you can drive an aircraft carrier through there.
It's an abandoned neighborhood.
Get it right up at the plate.
So the tying run at second with nobody out. Lucas Duda the batter. Duda drew a walk his first time up. It's down 1-0 in the fourth. And the shift on against Duda as well. And he rockets one to deep right center field. Back goes Bruce looking off, and it's out of here. Lucas Duda with a 2-run homer, his first home run of the year. And the Mets go in front 2-1. First day as the full-time first baseman of the moment, and Duda hits a 2-run bomb to put the Mets in front.
A lot of home runs being hit in this opening series. Homestand, I should say. Fastball outer half down right into Lucas's sweet spot, and Lucas should never let a pitch in that zone go. This is right into his wheelhouse. Change-up look like, Ronnie?
Yeah.
Well, Lucas does not swing at a lot of first pitches, but he got a first pitch to his liking and didn't hesitate.
If it was a changeup, almost too many changeups from Leake to Duda. Hasn't kept him honest with the fastball.
Lagares pops one up into shallow center, and Bernardina comes in, looking through the raindrops, one away.
Well, Lucas is very strong. And when he connects, good balance. That's just right on the sweet spot. Beautiful swing, and very strong man. It's not a ballpark that can contain him when he makes contact like that.
Coincidentally enough, Lucas's last home run also came against the Reds last September against Johnny Cueto in Cincinnati. So Duda's first hit of the year is a 2-run homer. Now Travis d'Arnaud looking for his first hit of the year. Get a comebacker his first time up and got time granted late.
That's always a good trick. Don't apologize. You can step out. It's always a good trick on the pitcher. Try to rattle their cage.
But then take this one underneath your chin. How do you like that?
Returning the cage rattling.
I've been dumped many times in my career.
Were you ever dumped for that reason? For calling time too late?
I don't know. It's a good question. It's a very good question. Maybe. I know the Phillies didn't like me. Shane Raleigh about hit my chin one time. I'll never forget it.
How about Don Carmen? Every game, at least one up there.
Yep.
I remember Don Carmen pitching a game at Shea, and Keith was in the middle of back-to-back-to-back home runs.
That's right. That's right.
I think with McReynolds and Strawberry?
Yes. Right? Yeah. Well, I wouldn't have been in the middle of that.
Well, maybe at the beginning of it.
Yeah.
I think it was 89, maybe?
I forget, but I remember the three in a row.
And d'Arnaud watches strike 3 call. First strikeout of the night for Mike Leake, 2 out of the inning.
Well, d'Arnaud has taken now, yesterday took a called third strike on the outside corner. With 2 strikes, you're going to get beat, and you get beat anywhere, you're going to get beat on the inside corner. You've got to protect the plate. Shouldn't be taking an outside pitch.
So 2 out for Ruben Tejada. Ruben hit a fly ball to center field his first time up. And a call strike. The Blue Jays have gone in front of Tanaka and the Yankees 3-2.
That's in the second inning.
Jonathan Diaz, a 2-run single for the Blue Jays after a Mark Teixeira error set it up. Little dribbler. Off the mound comes Leak. And that retires the side. But the Mets grab the lead. Curtis Granderson dribbled a double. And then Lucas Duda pounded a home run. First hit of the year for Duda is a 2-run bomb. And the Mets go in front 2-1 after 4. With the lead for the first time after Lucas Duda's 2-run homer. As Mejia will start his 3rd time around the Cincinnati batting order. Well, as a manager, you make a decision, you opt for Duda, and he makes you look good the first day. Yeah. It's a good sign, right?
It's a good sign. It's a sign that maybe it took the burden of a little bit of weight off Lucas's shoulders. Hey, I'm not going to go 0 for 4 here. Maybe not be in the lineup tomorrow. That's huge.
Roger Bernardino leads off for the Reds. Struck out and walked. Scored the only Cincinnati run. And takes the breaking ball low. Bernardino playing instead of Billy Hamilton. The Reds let Shin-Soo Choo walk away after last year. He had a terrific year for them in the leadoff spot. The Reds had the best on-base percentage in the majors from the leadoff position last year, .415, and most of that was Choo. But the Rangers offered him far more than the Reds were even willing to think about. And so they're hoping Hamilton can be that guy. Obviously, he's not going to get on base as much as Choo, but if he can steal 70 bases, they're hoping that will make up for that.
Well, might be one of the reasons that Dusty Baker is no longer here. He was of the school that he did not think Hamilton was ready yet to be in the major leagues.
And he might have been right. But the Reds don't really have a plan B right now. And you see last year by far the best on-base percentage at the top of the order, and that helped the Reds finish 3rd in the National League in runs scored. Mejia behind 3-1, and Bernardino is on base again. That's 5 walks now for Mejia.
That's too many.
Mejia started out with a bang, retiring the first 5 and striking out 4 of the 5. But the base runners have accumulated mostly via the walk. Only 2 hits for the Reds, but now 5 bases on balls. First time they've had the leadoff man on, and Brandon Phillips coming up.
How about his 2 at-bats so far tonight?
Well, he certainly hit the ball hard, but has nothing to show for it. Hit it over the fence in left field. Eric Young caught it. Then he had a bullet off Mejia's foot, and Darno threw him out. It's a double play ball right at Murphy. Tejada with the turn, 4-6-3 double play. 2 out and nobody on.
tailor-made double play. Murph a little far away to do the backhand. It's a little risky play, but he executed.
And you saw Tejada coming across the bag that time. That's one of the plays that cannot be reviewed. The neighborhood play at second base.
They allow the fudge there.
Here's Votto with 2 out.
Watch the backhand from Murph. That's a long way. It's a real risky. A ball hit that hard, you like to see second baseman pivot and throw over the top.
Now you could probably see in that replay that if you could review the neighborhood play,
he's off the bag.
Not on the bag.
Right.
Now there is a subtlety in that rule about what can be reviewed. You can't review a play where the infielder is trying to avoid being run into by the base runner. But on a bad throw that pulls the middle infielder off a bag, that can be reviewed.
Right.
So the question is, did Tejada miss the bag because he was trying to avoid Bernardino, wasn't close to him, or did he come off the bag because Murphy made a wide throw?
It wasn't that wide. It was a good feed.
But I'm just saying from an umpire standpoint, in terms of what can be reviewed, how do you make the judgment of why he wasn't on the bag? Because Bernardino's not even close to him.
Well, to me, the rule states that they're going to give that on a feed, on a normal feed. So that's what even come into consideration.
Then becomes what's a normal feed, right?
I understand they're making the game much more difficult.
I'm just trying to point out the nuance in what's reviewable and what's not. 2-2 to Votto. And he laces one to center. On comes Lagares, but he'll have to play it on the hop. Votto has a 2-out hit.
Those guys in 1888, they just weren't thinking, Keith.
So now the dangerous bat of Jay Bruce, who drove in the Reds' run with a base hit in the third.
He struck out, and not to rain on, we praise Bruce. He's really come a long way. But he had a career high in strikeouts last year of 185. That is an awful lot of strikeouts.
Smart pitch by Mejia. Remember his last at bat? First pitch hitting, got a fastball, got the base hit. What do you counter with his next at bat? A little curveball for a strike. Very intelligent.
And another breaking ball. Sits low, 1-1.
Nice block by d'Arnaud. He's quick back there with his feet. Good anticipation.
Covering up that 5-hole.
He's that smaller, athletic kind of catcher.
Yes, exactly. Like Grody was. Grody wasn't a big guy. Jerry was very. Oh, not a strike. Jerry was very agile back there. He only
did a great throwing mechanics.
Yes, he did. And the guy that was the best was Johnny Bench defensively, and for a big guy, he was so quick.
Johnny Bench was the first of the one-handed catchers. Jerry Grody was very much a two-handed catcher. Strike 3 call. Bruce caught looking. 7 strikeouts for Henry Mejia through the first 5 innings. We are halfway through at Citi Field on a cold, windy night. It's 2-1 New York. Henry Mejia leads off the bottom of the 5th. Mets with a 2-1 lead. Mejia grounded out his first time up. So just in case you were wondering, this is now an official game. With rain blowing around the area.
That rain went a little west and skipped up north. They got it in Toronto right now, that big glob. We just kind of got the sprinklings.
Toronto, they've got a roof.
Did you knock on wood while you were saying that?
I'm looking at my app on my iPad.
You're scared.
Oh, good curve.
Second strikeout for Leake as he gets Mejia one away. Let's check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
All right, Garrett, we just saw Henry Mejia strike out a couple innings earlier when he was on the mound. He took a comebacker right to the shin, and the Mets and Mejia lucky that it was on the ground. We know the Reds not as lucky this past spring. Just a horrible incident with Aroldis Chapman, their closer, taking that pitch, that comebacker right to the face. A really, really scary moment. And John Lannon, the Mets bullpen, he knows all about that. Back in 2011, he took a comebacker off the face of the bat of Ty Wigington, and still to this day, Lannon can't speak about that incident. He can't even speak about what it was like to come back from that, because he told me that anytime he thinks about that particular incident, he has trouble pitching. And Ronnie, I know that you and I were speaking a little bit after that Aroldis Chapman incident down in spring training, and you said you had an incident where you got hit in the chest with a ball in Montreal in the next couple innings. It was just difficult for you to pitch and not kind of come back off of the mound.
You know what's strange, Steve? Even to this day, when I see a pitcher get hit with a comebacker, I get a little emotional. You know what I mean? It really affects me, because I know, airbook with the grace of God go I. It could have been me at any time. The one in Montreal talking about, Steve, they used to have some yellow seats in Montreal.
Yeah.
You couldn't always see the ball coming out if the seats were empty. And it was off Tim Rock Raines, who was a great hitter, as Eric goes down on strikeout. Hit me right, and the ball came back. I never saw it. That's why I had so much fear, is that it came back at me. I never saw it hit me. Luckily, like here, dropped straight down. I was able to make a play. And for the next 2 or 3 pitches, I was throwing and recoiling. And luckily after that, there's a gene in all of us that play this sport that allows you to be stupid enough to wipe it out. And I'm not going to think about it anymore. Let's go. But I could see why someone who ever went through that experience could last longer than 2 or 3 pitches.
I remember seeing John Matlack take a line drive off the bat of Marty Perez right off the forehead. I mean, direct hit right on the forehead. The ball carried all the way into the dugout. It was hit that hard. And somehow he was able to come back from that. This was Chapman in spring training.
Oh, no.
Just hard to watch.
Oh, shoot.
Fortunately, the surgery went well. He had the staples out of his head yesterday, and they're hoping he'll be back sometime in May. Murphy grounds out to end the inning. 1-2-3 for Mike Leake. 5 in the books now. Mets with a 2-1 lead. Workout and his expectations for the season, plus the latest news and opinions on the Vic and Decker signings on Jets Nation Sunday at 7, only on SNY. Sixth inning, Henry Mejia working with a 2-1 lead. Brian Ludwig leads off for the Reds and takes a slider for a strike. Ludwig has struck out and grounded out 0 for 2. It'll be Ludwig, then Todd Frazier and Brian Pena for Cincinnati. First start of the year for Mejia, 87 pitches here in the sixth inning, and there's a good breaking ball, 0-2. And Terry Collins has been pushing his starters their first start of the year. Colon threw 110, Wheeler yesterday threw 114. It'll be interesting to see how far he pushes Mejia.
I don't know how many pitches, but G was pushed a couple more hitters in his game also.
He won 100, maybe a few more than he should have. Grounded up the line, and that's a fair ball sneaking by right. Young gets over quickly. Ludwig takes a turn and holds up. Ludwig lumbers at best, and he was not going to chance it, and it settles for a single. Nicely done by Eric Young.
Well, that's one of those too good of a pitch on an 0-2 count. David way off the line.
Just out of his reach, and a nice job by Young to cut this off. And you think the ball down the line, you can see Ludwig not fleet of foot. And Eric gets there quickly. He's got the wheels to get over there and cut it off.
Keeps that tying run at first base. And now Todd Frazier takes a strike.
It's a dangerous part of the game. This, you know, you're getting a little tired if you're Mejia. And this young man, probably pound for pound, as strong as anyone in the game.
Is this a part of the game, though, where the fact that it's cold helps you as a pitcher?
Yeah, because you know you're not laboring out there because of the heat.
39 degrees now as the temperature continues to drop. 43 at game time.
Listen, the pitcher and the catcher are the only ones that stay warm. Everyone else is cold.
Yep.
You just got to mentally fight through it. Keep telling yourself, I'm fine, not cold.
Well, that's why they pay you the big bucks.
Well, even if they don't pay the big bucks, still got to do it.
I mean, I hear that all the time, but you know, high school teams play in the middle of March here, and nobody complains, and they don't get paid.
That's right. That's right.
When my dad used to force me to go take BP with my brother when it was cold and damp in Pacifica, California, not Northern California, I moaned and groaned. To no avail.
Should be 2. Murphy, though, with the bobble, and can't get anybody. Well, Daniel Murphy, who had 2 errors in his season debut yesterday, that could have been 2 outs. Instead, the Mets get none.
Well, he's mad at himself because he just took his eye off the ball here. It was tailor-made. No, he just rushed it a little bit before he caught the ball. And it's a routine double play, and just couldn't find the handle. And all of a sudden, took a little up hop on him, got him in the heel of the glove.
And he was hoping at least to be able to recover with his bare hand and flip it to Tejada for a force, but he couldn't do that either. So 2 aboard for Brian Pena. And he takes it low and away for ball 1. Pena's been up twice and walked both times. So the Mets with a 2-1 lead that suddenly is in jeopardy. 2 balls, neither one of which was hit particularly hard. Ludwig finding the space between right and the line, and Frazier's ball booted by Murphy. Pena drives one to right, but Granderson is right there, and that's the first out. So the hardest hit ball of the inning results in the first out.
Well, very fortunate for Mejia right there. That ball's in the gap or down the line. That's trouble.
You know, the collateral damage of not being able to make the plays defensively, though, in this day and age, is that the pitch count is so important that all of a sudden, you know, you're pushing your pitcher to a point where your manager's thinking of getting the bullpen ready.
And the bullpen is getting up now. John Lannon, the left-hander, Kyle Farnsworth, the right-hander, up here in the 6th. You got Ramon Santiago at the plate, and then the pitcher is due next.
No one out there yet.
But Leake is a pretty good hitting pitcher anyway, so you have to figure he's going to bat. There's nobody up in the Reds bullpen. And Santiago takes a letter high strike. Santiago was struck out and grounded into a fielder's choice 0 for 2. Getting the start at shortstop today Ludwig at second, Frazier at first with one out. And with Santiago at the plate, a light hitter, the outfield shallow enough and Ludwig slow enough that there's no guarantee he scores on a base hit. Grounded down to Duda, chance for two, out at second, the relay to Mejia, not in time. Same play as the last time Santiago was up. They get the 3-6 force, but not the double play.
Well, nice scoop by Mejia on the throw. Lucas gets rid of the ball. And this is a throw in the dirt, and if it gets by Mejia, that's got a tying run scoring. And there's your play right there, Gary. You saw Tejada right there really exiting the bag on that double play.
So now 2 out, runners at the corners, and Leake will bat. He's grounded to third and struck out today, 0 for 2. Tying run at third with 2 down.
Can't get too shallow if you're the outfield here. You got to treat this young man like a legitimate hitter, I think.
He has 2 home runs in his career on his 57 hits. And trying to bunt the run home.
Wow.
And he fouls it off.
He didn't know his customer know. Ludwig is on third base. He went back to third.
And David was playing in, so it wasn't like David was deep at third. See David playing just a little behind the line, the baseline, I should say.
Off the end of the bat, a foul ball, and it's 0-2. Mejia tonight has equaled his career high with 7 strikeouts. About to throw his 100th pitch of the night. Got a piece. Staggered d'Arnaud.
Just like the Ludwig pitch, though, I believe this is too good of a pitch, 0-2. Even if it is the pitcher and you're trying to blow him away. Too much to the plate, I believe.
Oh, this cutter, or off that natural cut that he throws that went right over the middle.
Not the first shot d'Arnaud's taken tonight. Again, the 0-2. Struck him out. Mejia with the high changeup strikes out. League a career high 8th strikeout for Henry Mejia, and he keeps the Reds off the board and keeps the Mets in the lead. An impressive job by Mejia. 2-1 New York. He breaks more stuff in that ballpark than I've ever seen. David Wright leads off in the home 6th inning and stops the swing on a breaking ball, 1-0.
You know, when you're a kid and you're starting to play ball and you're breaking your family's windows and other people's windows, well, he's still doing it. He's a phenomenon. If he can stay healthy for a full season, now with a little better offense around him, no telling what he might do. Wright is grounded out in both of his at-bats against Mike Leake. And he hits this one sharply. Santiago knocks it down, recovers in time, but not in time to get right. And David has an infield hit. The Mets have their 4th hit against Mike Leake.
Oh, nice backhand. If he picks it cleanly, he's going to throw David out. But that
the tap cost him the out.
Yeah.
If he doesn't pat the glove, he probably gets him.
Remember that David used to have that bad habit at third base early in his career.
So the Mets get the leadoff man on.
Got to be careful on the bases. Leake has an outstanding pickoff move.
Wright had 17 steals last year. Curtis Granderson rolled a double over the third base bag his last time up. He's also walked tonight. 3 doubles in the last 2 games for Curtis, who takes it low.
I think in this cold weather, Ronnie, with David and the hamstring issue last year, I wouldn't want him stealing in this cold weather.
I know the hole is smaller because of the shift, but there is a hole still there that Granderson can hit.
Keith, we did some research. We mentioned the Don Carmen 3 home runs in a row. You were batting 5th that day.
What year was that?
April 17, 1989. Strawberry, McReynolds, Hernandez.
That's the year I got hurt. Geez, I forget what I had there. Was that the kneecap?
Kneecap.
Yep, I broke my kneecap. What was the date on that again?
April 17th.
Oh, it was already in the
season. Before you got hurt.
Before I got hurt, then.
It was here last year.
What the heck was David hitting me 5th for?
Well, it worked.
Who hit 3rd?
Strawberry 3rd, McReynolds 4th.
Really? 5th. I must have got to a bad start.
I was trying to move you out.
It worked. Side to Granderson, 2-2.
So I was the 3rd guy in the.
Yeah, you were the.
I was the cherry on top.
2-2 from Leake, and Granderson pokes it foul. Your city probables for the remainder of the series. Day games tomorrow and Sunday. Dylan G makes his 2nd start against Johnny Cueto, who pitched very well on opening day for the Reds. John Neese makes his season debut Sunday against Alfredo Simon, who's filling in the rotation while Matt Latos rehabs his knee. And there is Neese. A couple of minor league tune-ups and set to go on Sunday. That high to Granderson, 3-2.
I think you got to send, even though Curtis strikes out a lot, we got a 1-run lead. Got to set David loose here. Put him in motion. Make it happen.
Nobody out. Duda on deck. Duda's 2-run homer responsible for the Mets scoring tonight. Not going. And Granderson hits it in the air, deep to right center. Back goes Bruce onto the warning track, and he makes a nice catch. Wright was all the way to 2nd. He has to scramble to get back, and does so just in time against the strong arm of Bruce, who makes a terrific play to take an extra base hit away from Granderson.
Well, I think we can legitimately say here, there's been 2 balls that Curtis has hit hard. This is a fine play by Bruce, and good throw, strong throw back to first. But this is the first ball of the 3 that Curtis has hit. And we can say 100% that it would have been a home run at Yankee Stadium. Wright touches the bag, coming back.
One hop throw to first, too.
Yes, strong throw.
So a very long out for Granderson, and now Duda, who had a 2-run homer his last time up, and Leake keeps it away from him. Ball 1. Lucas walked his first time up and then jumped on a first pitch to power one deep into the bullpen in right center for his first home run of the year. Just hours after being named the starting first baseman.
Well, one of the few mistakes Mike Leake has made today, that was a changeup that he got up and too much plate. And Lucas lost it.
We always like it when it's easy for our buddies in the print media to do their job.
Yeah.
Lucas has a good game tonight. The story writes itself. Easy pickings.
Yep.
2-1 to Duda.
You have to watch yourself, though, because things can happen late that can alter the story.
Get me rewrite. Now they don't have to tear up the copy.
No.
You just delete. One from Leake, and Duda cracks this one to right. Bruce goes back, looking up near the wall. It's out of here. Lucas Duda with his second 2-run homer of the night. And it's 4-1 New York. I think the writers can press send. Lucas Duda writing a story tonight. His 5th career multiple home run game. And the Mets lead 4-1.
Set up outside. Roll right down Broadway. One sinker away. Right down the middle. And it's basically the same spot. Right in Lucas's power. And just on the netting there in the Mo zone. Leake is a guy that gives up home runs.
But I think that home run really tells you the kind of power that Lucas Duda has. When he connects, he makes this ballpark look small. Line drive out of here.
Lagares drives one to center, but right at Bernardina. And he reaches up to get it, 2 out.
We'll watch the swing. Lucas has got that belt, and down is his spot. A little towards the end, and that's what Ronnie says about his strength. Didn't really get, if he got that in the fat part of the bat, that'd have been upper tank.
Well, Lucas Duda has done everything he has to come tonight.
And more. I mean, wow. Genius. Turning everybody into geniuses.
You know, this franchise is due to have some right decisions. Darno fouls one away. Well, the Mets with their second home run of the game, both courtesy of Duda. Log on to sny.tv/Dwayne Reed to print out your coupon for great savings at Dwayne Reed and Walgreens. A quiet slugger with a pair of 2-run homers tonight. And Darno steps out on Leake again. He did that earlier in the game when Leake was about to get into his windup. Two and one to Darno, who's 0 for 2. How about that? As many home runs with a runner on base tonight as he had all of last season. He was the king of the solos last year.
You know, it's interesting, though. You know, Keith, you were saying that it took some pressure off because, you know, he knows he's going to be in there, and if he has a tough day, you know, that's some pressure to me. You know, like you're named the guy. You better produce. And I think it's real promising that on the day you're named it, you have your best game maybe as a Met.
I agree, and it's maybe a gift from the gods for Met fans out there. I know it's very critical early in my career. I know it was like knowing that if I went 0 for 4, I wasn't going to play the next day. That 0 for 1, and all of a sudden, oh gosh, I got 3 more at bats. 0 for 2, oh my, I got 2 more at bats. Can't play into that kind of conditions. So he can just pretty much rest assured that I'm in the lineup here, and you know what? It's almost like what happened with G last year at Yankee Stadium. You know, you reach that point, you cross the Rubicon or not.
It's like any other business, isn't it? You put your people in some kind of position to thrive, and you can only thrive if you're allowed to show your stuff, you know?
And now the question is, how does he build on it after a big night tonight? D'Arnaud rips one to right at Frazier, so Travis still looking for his first hit of the year. But Lucas Duda well on his way to a huge night, his second 2-run homer. And that takes the Mets to a 4-1 lead as we go to the 7th at Citi Field. Starter's job took them out tonight for the first time on a cold, raw night and got off to a hot start. 5 strikeouts in the first 2 innings. And Mejia winds up with a career high 8 strikeouts in 6 innings of work through a career high 101 pitches, and he leaves with a 4-1 lead as we go to the 7th.
I just love the way he competed out there. And you know what's interesting? I know he walked 5, but did you ever feel in any part of that game that he wasn't aggressive and going after hitters? Just missed a couple of times with some pitches, but so impressed. That's what we saw in that first start in September against the Nationals.
So a terrific outing for Mejia. He, along with Lucas Duda, the story tonight for the Mets. And now we'll see if the Mets bullpen, which has been such a cause for concern over the first 3 games of the season, can get the job done tonight.
Yeah, this is the second part of the story. John Lannon's in the game here because Roger Bernardino is leading off. 3 of the 4 hitters with Votto and Bruce are all left-handed.
Landon made his debut for the Mets in the 10th inning on Monday and gave up a 3-run homer to Anthony Rendon. That sealed the deal for the Nationals. It was Lannon's first career relief outing, and now he makes his second against the top of the Cincinnati batting order. It'll be Bernardino, Phillips, and Votto. Mejia, 101 pitches in 6 innings, 1 run, 4 hits, 5 walks, and a career high 8 strikeouts as the Mets bid for their first victory of the season on a night that has been cold, windy, and rainy. 39 degrees right now as we head for the 7th inning.
Oh, look at got him dressed properly.
He looks very happy.
Yeah, right? He and Mom.
There you go.
Well, for the diehards who've made their way to Citi Field tonight, there will be smiles galore if the Met bullpen can get 9 effective outs.
Well, down 3 now. You got to watch out for the Bernardino bunt.
Well, David in at third. Luke is kind of in nowhere land. You got to be careful here because it's the left-hand pitcher. If they are going to bunt, they're going to push it to his side.
Lannon facing his former Washington Nationals teammate Bernardino, and he misses up and away, ball 1. Trying to go on with the short sleeves. New York kid all the way.
Whoa.
They didn't wear sleeves in Long Beach on cold March days. Wind whistling in off the ocean. Brandon Phillips on deck. And then John decided to go an even colder place to college. He went to Siena.
Huddled on the beach in a mist. Oh, that's Jersey.
One and 2 to Bernardino, and the breaking ball low. 2-2. Opening day against the Nationals, the bullpen gave up 5 runs. Wednesday night 2 runs. Yesterday 5 runs. So it has not gone well.
It should be less difficult though. You're starting an inning. I know it's tough because the bullpen's a tough time, but what John did as a starter, each hitter just concentrate on that, getting that out, then move forward.
Get him with a breaking ball. Lannon strikes out Bernardino for the first out. During tonight's game, you can get interactive with SNY Game Day on SNY.TV, featuring pitch-by-pitch coverage, player cards, and in-depth stats. Check out SNY Game Day on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. So Lannon strikes out the first man to face him, and now Brandon Phillips. Phillips a very hard 0 for 3 tonight. Hit one over the fence in left field that Eric Young pulled back. Hit a bullet off the foot of Mejia and was thrown out, and then grounded into a double play his last time up. Phillips has terrific career numbers against Lannon. 5 hits and 9 at bats. He also has an interesting streak going here in New York. Phillips has hit safely in each of his last 26 games on the road against the Mets, including all 16 games he's played at Citi Field. And he pulls that one. That's a fair ball, and he keeps that streak going. Young plays the carom, and that'll hold Phillips to a single. So 27 straight road games against the Mets. Phillips is now hit it.
Fastball inner half, almost down the middle, right down the line. And that little angle that juts out there. Oh, nicely done, ump.
It's James Hoy with the nice hops.
Fred Asparagus right there.
See that Luis Castillo has the record for the most consecutive games hit in against the Mets in New York, and I only wish he could have hit that well when he played in New York.
What was he, like 35 or 36, something like that, wasn't it?
I think it was 32.
Okay.
But he also had a 35-game hitting streak at one time for the Marlins. Votto 1 for 2 and a walk, and he takes it high, 2-0.
Votto's taken some wicked cuts tonight. There's Jay Bruce on deck.
3 for 7 in his career against Lannon. And now he's ahead 3-0.
Votto has a very good eye. Very disciplined hitter. And you can see he's just strong as an ox.
There's a strike. Talk about knowing how to play in cold weather.
That's right.
So he's Canadian.
It's like from Mississauga, right outside the Toronto airport.
1 on and 1 out. And Votto fouls it away, 3-2.
He's mad at himself. He felt like he went out of the strike zone for that pitch.
That's a good pitch to hit, though. That ball is down the middle and up. You can't get mad at himself. You got to let it rip. He's a guy they got to have drive-in runs. notch open up in the bat too. Notice that.
3-2 with 1 out. And Votto fouls back that fastball.
Got tied up inside there. Good pitch by Lannon. Those good hitters, Ronnie. Tied him up. Oh boy, it had some plate.
Votto, when he's at his best, has just as good a power to left center as he does on the pull side.
In fact, the Mets play him a step or two that way in the outfield. Straight up on the infield. 3-2. Check swing Tapper. Wright's play will be to first. And Duda picks it in time to get Votto for the second out. And down to second goes Phillips. David not throwing well tonight.
No, he's not. He's made a couple throws his first 4 games in the dirt on the routine plays like this. Plenty of time to set. Not getting it there. Nice scoop, easy scoop for most first basemen, except Dick Stewart maybe.
Dr. Strangelove. So 2 out in the inning, and now Jay Bruce, who singled in the Reds' run back in the third, 1 for 3 on the night. Phillips at second and 2 out. And the curveball from Lennon misses ball 1.
And all you kids out there don't know who Dick Stewart is, Google him.
Can you Google it, Dick Stewart?
Oh, yes, you can. He played with the Red Sox.
Yes, he did.
Back-to-back curveballs, and Lennon falls behind Bruce 2-0.
John's got to remember where his strength is. It's not about adding even in relief. 2-0, take a little off, keep it down, keep it away.
Here's a strike, 2-1.
I think what happens to a lot of starting pitchers that go in the bullpen, they feel like they have to eliminate their pitches and throw harder. Not for John Lannon. He's always got to be around the corners.
And Bruce takes a strike, 2-2. By the way, Dick Stewart hit 42 home runs one year for the Red Sox.
Yes, he did.
Why he got to play first base as much as he did. Came to the Mets in '66. Wasn't nearly Marv Throneberry though. Kyle Farnsworth up again in the Mets bullpen. 2-2 to Jay Bruce. It's one deep to right center field. Granderson back, looking up near the wall, and it's out of here. Jay Bruce with a 2-run homer, his second of the year, and he cuts the Mets lead to 4-3. Duda with all 4 RBIs for the Mets. Bruce with all 3 RBIs for the Reds. And Lannon, who gave up a 3-run homer to Rendon on opening day, gives up another one.
Cutter didn't cut much. Felt high, outer half. Strong. That's 390 right there, folks. That's a long way. And that's a line drive. Very strong young man.
So it's a 1-run game. The Mets will make a double switch. Anthony Recker will come in to catch. Kyle Farnsworth will come in to pitch. The call to the bullpen is brought to you by Verizon. Mets now with a 4-3 lead in the 7th. We'll be right back.
There you go.
So it's been a while. 19 years since they won the division series against the Dodgers. Anthony Recker comes in to catch. He'll bat 9th. Kyle Farnsworth will pitch and bat 7th.
Well, after the youngster 24-year-old Mejia pitches 6 innings, going the veterans, Lannon and now Farnsworth.
Ryan Ludwig swings and misses at a breaking ball. 0-1. Ludwig 1 for 3 on the night. Singled his last time up. For Farnsworth, his second appearance. He was called up when Bobby Parnell went on the disabled list following the elbow injury he suffered opening day. Farnsworth pitched on Wednesday, gave up a run and an inning of work. The Mets bullpen has now given up 14 runs, 13 earned in 10 innings this year. And Farnsworth ahead on Ludwig 0-2.
Different kind of pitcher for Farnsworth now, coming in throwing 2 consecutive sliders to Ludwig. Frazier on deck.
Now the 0-2 from Farnsworth. The fastball just missed. 1-2. That's about where Kyle will top out these days. 94. There was a time where 99 and 100 were his big numbers. But now 37 years old and not quite the hard thrower he once was. One-two coming to Ludwig. Struck him out. High fastball from Farnsworth. So Farnsworth gets the 3rd out of the inning. But Jay Bruce makes this game a lot closer. His 2nd home run of the year. Bruce with a 2-run shot off Lannon. It's 4-3 New York at the 7th inning stretch. Is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com.
Well, how big is that catch we just saw by Eric Young? It's a tie ball game. Doesn't make that play.
Well, it's been Lucas Duda against Jay Bruce tonight. Lucas 4, Jay 3.
Yeah.
Some of the chilled crowd here at Citi Field. Ruben Tejada will lead off at the bottom of the 7th. Mike Leake still in there for the Reds at 99 pitches for the night. He's given up those 2 2-run homers, but not a whole lot else. Mets have 4 runs and 5 hits tonight. Tejada 0 for 2. He's flying to center and hit a comebacker. And takes a pitch at the knees, 0-1. Anthony Recker is hitting 9th in the order after the double switch. He's on deck, and then Eric Young for New York here in the 7th. Phillips slides over in front of him. 1 away. Now the question is for Terry Collins, how do you piece together the 8th? He double switched to bring Farnsworth in because he wants Farnsworth to start the 8th. But are you asking him to finish the 8th to set it up for Valverde?
Well, you're at least going to pitch against Todd Frazier, the right-handed hitter. And then after that, you have 2 left-handers, Pena and Santiago. So maybe that's when you might bring in, well, Herman's pitched 2 days in a row.
Look at that sleeve and that glove there, Ronnie.
Yeah, that's to hide your index fingers so you don't give away pitches.
Ah, yes. So, folks, for those of you who don't understand out there, a lot of pitchers have that finger exposed, and they'll point it up in the air on a breaking ball and keep it tight on a fastball, and that's Western Union.
First plate appearance of the year for Recker, and he pops one up to shallow right. And Phillips is there to grab it, 2 out. Coming up tonight on Geico Sports Night, Knicks, Nets, UConn, Noah Syndergaard's first start for the 51s. All of that with Chris Carlin coming up after the postgame right here on SNY. So 2 out and nobody on. Now Eric Young, who's still looking for that elusive first hit of the season. 0 for 3 tonight, 0 for 12 to start the year. And bluffs the bunt. It takes ball 1. And watching the speedster Young at the plate, remember that the Reds, especially in a 1-run game, have the X factor on the bench. And that's Billy Hamilton, who you can be sure will be used as a pinch runner at some point if the Reds get anybody on. Guy who stole 155 bases in the minor leagues 2 years ago. Only 1 catcher's ever thrown him out of the big leagues.
That's right.
It was Juan Centeno last September. Juan is now in he's in AAA, right?
Yes. Who's doing most of the catching down in AAA? Is it Taylor Teagarden?
Don't know how they're apportioning the playing time.
Okay.
Teagarden got the start on opening night last night, caught Montero.
I just look at it this way. You have a lot of young pitchers. You want that veteran guy who's caught in the major leagues.
And that's high, ball 4, and Young is on with a 2-out walk. And certainly the stolen base comes into play here with last year's National League stolen base champ aboard. Brian Price comes out of the dugout. Daniel Murphy coming up. Price has only 1 lefty in his bullpen. It looks like he might play that bullet right here. Manny Parra has been warming up, and he is coming in. And it looks like the Reds will make a double switch as well. 4-3 New York in the 7th. We'll be right back to Citi Field. gets his second start against Johnny Cueto as we rotate back to the opening day starters. Mets and Reds. 12:30 the coverage tomorrow afternoon right here on SNY. Double switch for the Reds. Chris Heisey comes in to play left field. He'll bat ninth, and the new pitcher, left-hander Manny Parra, will hit fifth.
Well, Manny Parra came up with the Milwaukee Brewers. They thought he was going to be a starter. Didn't work out there. Traded to Cincinnati, and he's found his way here in the bullpen.
A lot of sliders and splitters from Parra. Facing Murphy, who's 1 for 3 on the night. Young at first with 2 out. We'll see what kind of read he has on the left-hander. As Murphy tries to lay off the slider, but he went around. Nothing at 1. I would think this is a spot where if you're Murph, you got to let Young try and steal a base.
Murph is hitting there.
A double scores him, though, Gare. So if you get a pitch to your liking, take a rip.
I know what you're saying. Maybe take at least a strike.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it? About what you'd expect. A lower percentage success rate against left-handers. Oh, 1 to Murphy. And Daniel hits one through the hole, a base hit. And it gets Young to second. He'll have to stop there. And so the Mets with a couple of men on, and David Wright coming up, and we'll see if. I guess Brian Price is not going to make another move because he does not have a right-hander up.
He did not have a right-hander up.
Well, that's a little surprising.
With the double switch, I think he's looking for Parra to pitch multiple innings. Good swing there, Murph.
And you've got David Wright, a lifetime .338 hitter against left-handers.
Perhaps what Price is looking at is the fact that David is just 2 for 9 against Parra.
And he also, Parra's got that good split finger. He throws hard enough. He has the pitches to get right-handers out.
So now Young at second, Murphy at first, 2 out. Wright 1 for 3, had an infield hit and scored in the 6th. And he has to get out of the way of the fastball. Ball 1.
They've done this all night. Leake has gone inside and David 3 or 4 times. Parra leads him off with something up and in.
Two out and 2 on.
Came right back.
Fastball's a strike.
Sorry, Gary. Came right back in. Well, the book on David, all good hitters anyway. Shoot, you got to crowd them. You got to get in there. You can't let the good hitters extend those arms.
David struggled early last year against the lefties, but then back to normal as the season wore along. Three fastballs in a row, that one high, 2-1. Curtis Granderson would be next.
Going after Wright aggressively.
Can you look in there here, 2-1?
No.
No. Okay.
I think you go up the middle. This is a big 2-out RBI right here. You're thinking base hit.
And that's too high. Now it's 3-1. Now the question is, how aggressive will Parra be now with the left-hand hitter on deck?
We will soon find out. I think it's going to be ball 4.
They've already called one of those tonight.
You can look in now, Ronnie.
Yeah.
And this is your count.
3-1 to David. He pops it up. Doing a splitter, and Bruce is there to grab it, and that retires the side. So the Mets strand 2 in the bottom of the 7th. On to the 8th we go, with the Mets holding a 1-run lead. 8th at Citi Field. The Mets holding on to a 4-3 lead. Kyle Farnsworth, who got the final out in the 7th inning, stays in to start the 8th, and he'll face the Jersey kid Todd Frazier, who is 1 for 3 tonight, singled back in the 2nd inning. Henry Mejia started, went 6, allowed a run on 4 hits, and he is pitcher of record on the long side, hoping the bullpen can get him 6 more effective outs.
Todd Frazier, in the old days you'd say he's a dead red hitter, loves the fastball. Breaking pitch is his Achilles heel.
Farnsworth started his first hitter Ludwig off with a couple of sliders. He throws the fastball on the corner and gets a strike on Frazier. Frazier hit 19 home runs last year, but he hit just .234. And they're certainly hoping for better things from Todd this year. Off-speed pitch misses, 1-1.
19 home runs in 81 games in a bandbox too. Not taking anything away from the 19 home runs.
Well, those are the extremely ugly numbers for the Mets bullpen so far this year. Farnsworth hoping to have a hand in changing that tonight. Off the end of the bat. Easy play for Duda. Gives way to Murphy, and that's the first out. So Frazier retired, 1 away. Let's check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
Well, yeah, Gary, I actually have a question for Ronnie. And I mean, you just saw those really ugly numbers of the bullpen this year. Ronnie, when a unit on a team is going as poorly as the Mets bullpen is right now, how crucial is it for someone, an individual, to step up and kind of lead them out of it?
Well, Steve, I think what happens, and you know, panic city can happen, but I don't think that if you're worth your weight, you don't panic as a ball club. It's 1 series, 3 games. It happened, guys. Let's just push that aside. Let's get some good efforts tonight and change all of that. I don't think that if the player panics, then they're probably not the right players. You shouldn't panic after 3 games. You say, hey, listen, all teams, when they come into a series, you want to take game 1. You want to win the series. That's how you play for an entire season, 6 months. So wipe it away. The Nationals came in. They're a good club. They got to us. Let's take it out on the Cincinnati Reds.
And don't get caught up in all the negativity. It was like the sky was falling in.
Farnsworth behind on Brian Pena, 2-0. And he sells one high. Pena's already drawn a pair of walks tonight, and the only time he put the ball in play, he hit a bullet right at Granderson in right field. Pena filling in as the #1 catcher with Devin Mesoraco on the DL. Mesoraco should be back next week. Right down the middle, 3-1.
Guys, you know, it's interesting. I was speaking to John Lannon kind of on the point you were just making about how any pitcher, any player worth his weight doesn't panic. And he said something interesting, though. He said, no, you don't want to panic this early on in the season, but it's a really fine line to walk because you also don't want to make it act like it's not that big of a deal yet.
Pulled into right field, and Pena's on base for the 3rd time. And so the Reds get the tying run aboard with 1 out in the 8th. Well, I think, you know, to what Steve is saying, you never want to get comfortable with losing.
Yeah. I mean, you know, you're not proud of what's going on, but it's 3 games, and, you know, you're 6 outs away here, 5 outs, from making something happen. And the Reds are trying to make something happen, Gary.
Well, we talked about Billy Hamilton being the X factor, and with Pena getting aboard here in the 8th, Hamilton is now aboard to pinch run.
Last season, when Hamilton got on base, he doesn't do any reading of the pitcher. He doesn't care about the time. He is going. So you better be ready first pitch.
13 steals and 14 tries in the big leagues when he was called up last September. The only guy who threw him out was the Mets' Juan Centeno. 75 stolen bases in AAA last year, 155 the year before in Single A and Double A. He just has incredible raw speed. And he's carrying the tying run at first with 1 out. And Farnsworth will try his best to keep close.
I used to pride myself on keeping really fast runners close, Coleman, etc. What you try to do is let them get off as much as you can, and you want them to get dirty. Make them dive back into base a couple times, because, I mean, the good ones, it's not going to really affect them, but it'll affect them a little.
Doesn't have it enormously. Now he stretches it a bit.
Now you've thrown over there 3 times. You could quick pitch him right here, Santiago. Come up to the set and go to the plate real quick. He won't be able to read you.
That's where he had the advantage of having a veteran on the mound. And he throws a strike to Santiago, and he had Hamilton flat-footed on that pitch. Billy Hamilton, 23 years old, had a great year in Single A and Double A 2 years ago. Was on base more than 40% of the time, which is exactly what he'll need to do. But last year, just a .308 on base percentage in Triple A.
Right.
So it's still an open question as to how much he's going to be able to get on base and give himself a chance to be the big base stealer.
And he hit .256 in AAA last year. So he tore up A ball in AA.
Just 23 years old. Now he's got a huge lead. And there he goes. Darno with the throw. It's a good one. And he got him. Recker with the throw. Guns down Hamilton. 2 out.
Nicely done. I'll tell you what, Recker came here just like no one expected anything out of Anthony, and he really had a fantastic year. 7 home runs in spot playing and off the bench, and big home runs.
There was a little hesitation by Hamilton right at the beginning, and I think that cost him the base.
Well, a lot of it goes with Farnsworth, the veteran, holding him on. He knows what he's doing.
So Hamilton's first stolen base attempt of the year. He's thrown out by Anthony Recker. He's now been caught twice in the big leagues, both times by the Mets.
It's not a great see. He got caught with the deep there, and a lot of credit goes to Farnsworth.
And now some concern about Farnsworth after that last pitch. Ray Ramirez and Terry Collins out to see if he's okay. Apparently he assuaged their concerns.
I think something got in his eye.
Yeah. He's got those glasses on, though, right?
Yep.
Sports glasses.
He's ahead on Santiago, 0-2. Just missed. He was walking off the mound. Thought for sure that John Tumpane would give him that call.
Close. You see Darno brought it back in a tad. A Recker, excuse me. Boy, I tell you what, you got some guts to be taking that pitch that close.
Farnsworth ahead 1-2. And Santiago pops it up. David Wright hustling over. Side retired. Anthony Recker and Kyle Farnsworth defuse the X Factor. Recker guns down Billy Hamilton in a 1-run game and keeps the Mets in front.
tell you what. Play one game in the next 4. If dude is hitting, screw that.
Yeah, exactly.
Curtis Granderson leads off in the home 8th inning against Manny Parra, who got the final out in the 7th. Granderson 1 for 2 and a walk tonight, doubled over the third base back in the 4th, and he takes a wild cut at a breaking ball, and it's 0-2. Tucker Barnhart is now doing the catching after Brian Pena left with the pinch runner Hamilton. Granderson leading off, Lucas Duda on deck. Duda has a pair of 2-run homers tonight. This is the Mets' 53rd season. They've played in 3 different home ballparks, and no Met in those 53 years at the Polo Grounds, at Shea, or here at Citi Field has ever hit 3 home runs in a home game. Duda has a chance to be the first. Granderson pulls out of the way. 1-2.
When you played, would you know that record?
No.
Yeah, you would never know that.
Home run hitter, you would.
I wouldn't have. Oh, someone probably would have mentioned it to me.
I bet Strawberry knew. I mean, he's hit more home runs than any other Met. And he hit 3 in a road game.
I saw him in Chicago. Last one was a bomb over the camera well.
A whole bunch of Mets have hit 3 in a road game. Jose Reyes did it.
Remember that?
Barry Carter did it. Jim Hickman was the first to do it. 3-2 now to Granderson. J.J. Hoover up in the bullpen for the Reds. Granderson hit a long fly ball to right center his last time that Jay Bruce made a terrific catch on. Yanks that one foul and behind Tom Goodwin. Well, those are the 3 home run games in Met history, and they all were accomplished on the road. All 9 times.
Claudel.
Excuse me.
Ricardo Alfonso did it in the Astrodome. That was the greatest offensive game any Mets ever had. He was 6 for 6, 6 runs scored, 3 home runs.
Claudel Washington really, I thought, should have been a better player. He was talented.
Popped up into shallow left center. Heisey makes the call. 1 out. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by your Tri-State Cadillac dealer. Visit CadillacTristate.com to search local offers and find a local dealer near you. By StubHub, earn 2% back in fan rewards at every purchase on StubHub, including Mets tickets. StubHub, your ticket to upgrades and more. And by Budweiser, great times are waiting. Grab some buds. So here is Duda, anointed today as the starting first baseman, and he has responded with a walk and a pair of 2-run homers. Now facing the left-hander Parra. Duda has 3 career at-bats against Parra, and one of the 3 was a home run.
Plot Dickens.
The last Met did 3 in a game was Ike Davis 2 years ago in Arizona.
And that was off the right-hander that went to the Angels that got in the throwing match. They threw him, kept throwing the sinker right over the plate. Same pitch, Ronnie. 3 bombs.
Ian Kennedy?
Yes, dead central, all 3. Kept throwing it.
Well, it would be a little ironic if Mr. Duda did it here.
The party of the other part.
Exactly.
Party of the first part.
1-1 for Parra. And Duda takes the breaking ball for a strike. 1-2. Juan Lagares waiting on deck. One-two coming to Duda, and Lucas trickles one foul.
Well, fourth inning, excuse me, his first home run. In the 6th. Oh, humpback line drive, very strong. All 4 runs accounted for by that man.
It's hoping to get an insurance run here in the 8th before Jose Valverde goes for his first save chance as a Met. And maybe Duda can be the guy to give it to him. But he goes down swinging on the fastball, and Parra has his first strikeout. First time Lucas has been retired tonight. SNY Super Slow Motion is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. We have slow motion shivering for the Super Slow Motion montage tonight.
I'm one of them.
Old man Winter is not releasing its grip.
We've got a pitching change. Brian Price is going to bring in a right-hander to face Juan Lagares. J.J. Hoover coming into the game. Mets up 4-3 in the bottom of the 8th. We'll be right back. J.J. Hoover on to pitch for the Reds. Had a fine year last year.
Well, we had a lot of guys in that bullpen that had sub-3 ERAs and appeared in 65, 66 games.
His second appearance of this season comes in to try to get the final out here in the bottom of the 8th against Juan Lagares. And Juan thinks about a bunt and takes a curveball for a strike. Ike Davis has come out on deck. He'll pinch hit for the pitcher if Lagares keeps the inning going. Good work by Kyle Farnsworth, going an inning and a third to set it up for Valverde, who's getting ready in the bullpen. And there's that slow curve up high, 1-1. Lagares tonight 0 for 3, has hit the ball to the outfield all 3 times. Came up with the bases loaded in the first and gave it a pretty good ride to right field, and Bruce caught it over in the corner on the warning track.
Whenever I think of Hoover, I only think of Paul Hoover.
Broke up that no-hit bid by John Maines.
Right.
Last weekend of the 2007 season. Lagares pops it up. Joey Votto looking around, figures he better take it.
Oh.
With the acrobatics, is able to do just that.
Is that what you call it?
3 circles and a dive.
Mets looking for their first victory of the season. They're 3 outs away. Jose Valverde gets the save chance when we come back. Well, Jose Valverde, who was a minor league free agent signing, has very quickly got the closer's role with the Mets, and he gets his first save chance tonight.
Throw those numbers away. He was awesome the year before, had a tough year last year, but like you said, Gary, great first outing on opening day. 3 out of the 4 hitters he faced went down via strikeout.
And threw all fastball.
Yeah.
And now he'll face 9-1-2 in the Reds order. Chris Heisey, Roger Bernardina, Brandon Phillips. If anybody gets on, the big bats of Votto and Bruce. Heisey batting for the first time. Came on in a double switch in the 7th inning. 4-3 New York, 9th inning. And Heisey takes a fastball for a strike.
You always want to ask your skipper. Yes.
You want me on the line?
Make sure.
You need me on that line.
Very nice. Heisey facing Valverde for the first time. Grounds one to short. Tejada has the 2-hopper. 1 out. We have a new feature this year. If you're watching the game, you have the chance to have the AT&T fan photo of the game. Tweet or Instagram your photo using hashtag SNYFanPhoto, and we might pick your photo to show later on in the game. 1 out in the top of the 9th. And now Roger Bernardina. He's walked twice, scored a run, and struck out his other 2 plate appearances. Quite a road the last couple of years for Jose Valverde. From perfect closer in the regular season 2 years ago to losing his closer's job in the postseason that year, to being signed late and struggling with the Tigers last year, only to be let go. But back off the shelf into camp with the Mets, impressive enough to win a job in spring training, and then inherit the closer's role when Bobby Parnell went down with an injury opening day.
That's impressive, right?
Now trying to resurrect his career after the struggles of the last 18 months. At age 36. 2-1.
Threw it right by Bernardina here.
I always feel like Bernardina's a down hitter, Keith. Down and in is his power.
He's got great talent. He just can't, he hasn't been able to hit.
And he's burned the Mets with some home runs.
Yes, he has.
In game.
Yes, he has.
Beat Frankie Rodriguez with a grand slam a couple of years ago. Too high, 3-1.
Got Jesse's number.
Tom Glavine's number. Joe McEwing's number. For every pitch, grabs a little bit of dirt. Behind on Bernardina, 3-1 with 1 out. And he walked him. And the tying run is on a fast man in Bernardina.
And you know, this happens a lot for older pitchers. His fastball not as firm today as it was on opening day.
Nobody up behind Valverde in the Mets bullpen, which is a little surprising. You'd figure Scott Rice would be up with the lefties coming up behind Phillips.
When you got your closer here, I mean, he's your closer. You're going to sink or swim.
I think that's true most of the time, but when it's your closer by default, is it the same?
I don't know if it's the same. And in fact, if it goes deeper and you go up against Bruce again as the hot hitter of the night, I'd like to at least have my lefty up to give me an option.
Phillips has hit the ball hard all night, just 1 for 4 though. Robbed of a home run by Eric Young in the first, hit one off Mejia's foot into an out in the third, and hit one down the left field line that caromed off the tarp for a base hit in the 7th.
It's part of what Valverde will do also. He will slow it down a little bit when guys are on base.
And Phillips laces one into center field for a base hit. Bernardino around second, stops there against the cannon of Lagares. Now the tying run at second and the potential go-ahead run at first with one out. And the meat of the order coming up with Votto and Bruce.
Fastball outside, up, and ripped. And that's the beauty of having a defender out there with a cannon, because that could have been very easily first and third.
And this is where his old infield skills come in. Just got to that ball, got it on the short hop, ready to throw at any time.
And let's not forget, Bernardino runs well. And that was a great camera angle right there. And you saw Lagares' jump on the ball. He gets such great jumps.
So now Votto with 2 on and 1 out. Votto 1 for 3 and a walk tonight. That infield's getting awfully slick on the dirt portion. Votto lifts one along the left field line. Eric Young over near the sidewall, and he's got it for the second out. Caught that ball in fair territory. And now there are 2 away. So Votto going against type, going after the first pitch in a big RBI spot. And he flies out for the second out.
I thought this ball was down, too.
And it sunk on him. Wow, it had plate. Oh, boy, it had plate, Ronnie. Almost overrun by Young. That ball's in fair territory.
Windy, rain-swept day. And Young stays with it for the second out. But now, here's Jay Bruce, who's driven in all 3 Cincinnati runs tonight with a single and a 2-run homer. Bernardino the tying run at second. Phillips the potential go-ahead run at first. That's put 3 infielders on the right side against Bruce. With the Reds down to their final out. And Bruce takes a fastball strike.
Very interesting how we've seen this a lot with the placement of the defense of the Mets. As you look at the outfield defense, they're really shading in the opposite direction, opposite field, but the dead pull on the ground in the infield.
Especially after you hit a home run to right center, right? With Lagares shading the other way.
So the graphic, Bruce 0 for 5 against Valverde. 1 more out to get for Jose. And Bruce fouls it off, and now the Reds are down to their final strike.
Just coming right after him.
Yep.
0-2 to Jay Bruce. Too high.
Good pitch, though. 0-2.
That's where you got to stay with him. Up and in.
Good pitch. Good effort there. And you can now, with that little brush back, you can throw your splitter or just go right hard after him again.
Valverde ready for the 1-2. Foul tip, just got a piece.
Oh, that was a nice pitch there. Fastball up and in, and trying to paint him away. Just barely got a piece to Bruce.
Barely hung in there.
He struck him out, and the ball game is over. Jose Valverde notches the save, and the Mets get their first win of the season. Great pitching by Mejia, timely relief from Farnsworth. Valverde seals the deal. Duda hits a pair of 2-run homers, and the Mets win it 4-3.
You know, it's a good sign when Valverde's untucking that shirt. Duda was the story of the game today. Getting lost is the Henry Mejia effort. But the first split finger that Valverde throws in a Met uniform gets the Mets a win.
And, of course, Duda getting the nod today and comes through, delivers for Terry Collins. Named to be a starting first baseman over Ike Davis and Josh Satin. 2 home runs. All 4 runs driven in by Duda. So all good tonight. Mets on the board.
Your game summary: Henry Mejia, 6 solid innings for the win. Duda drove in all the runs with a pair of 2-run homers. Farnsworth with some nice setup work. Anthony Recker throws out Billy Hamilton. And Valverde, trying to resurrect his career, gets his new team their first victory of the season. For every Mets win, the Mets Foundation is proud to contribute $2,500 to the Cats Women's Hospital and the Cats Institute for Women's Health. For more information, visit northshorelij.com/KIWH. With the first win of the season, $2,500 in the kitties so far. Well, save Valverde, first save since June of last year, and every reason to celebrate both for himself and for his new ball club as the Mets, after 3 straight losses, secure their first victory of the season as they beat the Reds 4-3. More from Citi Field in just a moment.